And you would think I said that to be funny, but I absolutely didn't. So we start right at the start. So we are here at Catchup. This is really catching up because I met Sydney Nelson in person for the first time 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I think, at Social Media Marketing World. And I was really taken by her business sense and all that. Look, okay, I'm friends with Sydney's dad. This is
Yes.
the awful way to start this because it already like, oh, she's someone's kid. I'm
Right.
friends with your dad. But your dad, it was really funny. The way he was talking you up to me was like, you want to hang out? Like, my daughter's here at the show. And in my head, I immediately think super little kid. And he goes, yeah, but she's like really cool and everything. And like, if you didn't know she was my daughter, you'd still think she's cool and interesting. You'd want to hang out with her. I was like, well, yeah. And so you came along to that thing that Mark Schaefer and I had done and added your 2 cents where it made sense and really contributed. And I was like, oh, she is cool and smart. So Sydney, you work now in marketing. You just jumped in a startup. You're down in the Nashville area. The reason I wanted to bring you on was because, like I said, I'm 50, you're 25. You have a different perspective on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I asked you first, maybe let's start at the protest. You went out to a Black Lives Matter protest in Nashville. It was a big one. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I'm a huge supporter of Black Lives Matter. I always have been. My grandpa's from Haiti, so that is ingrained in our very DNA. So I went out. I wasn't able to make the Saturday's protest. So I went out with kind of little expectation because it was being put on by Black Lives Matter youth. And lo and behold, the news said that there's 10,000 plus people there. And the amount of diversity I saw made my heart like soar because it was every race, every background, people who are being, peaceful and respectful and declaring like really good truth, and all coming to unite as one voice. We walked down Broadway, which is the big street here in Nashville. There was riot police all around, and luckily nothing happened, but it was amazing. And, I had two of my really awesome white friends come with me and really like put action to their words. And so, walking with my friends, walking with the city, I was so proud. And it was something that I will remember for the rest of my life. So it was awesome.
Yes, you were. There's a derogatory mindset that comes out a lot in people of a certain age. I think somewhere about like 35 or so, we start getting our cynicism on in a big way, and then it never, like above 35, forget it.
Yeah.
We think nothing's going to happen. We think the next day it's all going to go away. But there's a lot of marketing information out there that says that more than ever before, people your age buy with your values first. A lot of times you really think about the companies you're going to give your business to and all that. Do you embody that? And then as a marketer, how are you helping this company you're going to work with realize this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, as we're looking at today's people, right, this generation, my generation, the generation after me, like we don't play by the rules. We are very much like, everything is equal. My life matters. Your life matters. And we're not sticking to the generations before us rules. And so I think that's ingrained in a lot of what we're doing. And so you see a lot of people coming out that are younger that are saying, I know that I don't have to go to college. I can pick a different career path. So you have people where innovation and choosing your own path is totally acceptable now. And so, you saw that in the protest when four girls put on this protest here in Nashville under 15 and had 10,000 plus people come. I mean, if that's not a testament to the fact that your voice matters, I don't know what else is. The fact that people came out, and I hope that this helps people realize that when you vote, it might seem like your one vote doesn't matter, but if everyone comes together and says, my vote matters, it is loud. Like the news station couldn't cover above the volume of our protests. And so I think in marketing today, businesses have to be really understanding that the power is in the person buying. It's not really in the company anymore, right? So this idea that companies have to be adaptable. They have to understand that we're not playing by the rules 10 years ago. We're not playing by the rules 20 years ago. And so, you're seeing the companies being supported when they're able to step into today's world that says, you have the power. Your voice is strong and I'm listening. And so, as a marketer, for me, it's really important to work at a company that not only values equality and diversity and preaches that in their actions, but hires people that think that way. And so, it's really important for me that people that you're doing business with people, right? I think a lot of times people get this mentality that it's a business, we have this wall, let's not be too personable, let's not be too out there, right? And that time is gone. We have to do business with people. And if I'm doing business with this like veil of, weird business stuff, I don't want any part of it.
Right.
And I loved Mark Schaefer's thing. It's been my like stamp in the ground is that, I'm all for bringing the human side out of business because I think that as a marketer is extremely important. So,
Sydney, so related to this in so many ways, you just got, you're early-ish in your career. You just got a pretty decent job before the one you're at now, and something happened. We said we wouldn't name names, but you want to talk just a little bit about the experience?
Yeah. So for me, if you couldn't tell, I am very vocal. I'm very for people. I'm very for justice. And I had the opportunity to work for a very, very conservative company, Southern company. So there was a lot of difference in opinion there. I had an experience where with the whole COVID-19 thing, right? Obviously, businesses didn't know how to handle that. And unfortunately, my business was one of those that said, we're going to label you as an essential worker, even though I'm in marketing, so I'm not that essential. And we're going to make you come into the office. It was really hard because I was at the period quarantining with my family where we have kids. And I knew that the moment I went back into the office, I wasn't really able to be with them. And so that was a big issue, especially because I could do my job 100% remote. We had been doing that for 4 weeks. And so I didn't understand what the rush and the urgency was. And unfortunately, our company didn't do a good job of explaining that. It was very kind of, no one was talking about the emotion of the employee. We talk about the importance of being employee-centric as well as customer-centric, right? And really making sure your people are happy. So there's a lot of frustration, a lot of anger kind of going on. And unfortunately, there was really no precaution that was being taken place. When I went into the office, I was one of the only people wearing a mask. I was one of the only people that was social distancing to the best of my ability. And so, I am very vocal about that. And so, I posted an image of myself on my private social media talking about my frustration, talking about how this felt so unfair and that, a company that I'd worked for several years wasn't caring about my safety enough, wasn't, talking to the issues of it, and, ended in a disagreement between the sources. And so I had to walk away. And so it was a really powerful experience because I think, as I'm 25, like you said, early in my career, it's really easy to just take the job as it comes, right? To just say, well, this job is open, so I have to take it, right? Because I have bills. And that was really a light bulb to say, I'm now 25. I want to make sure that I'm not spending 2 or 3 years at another company that doesn't value their people. And really, if that means I take a 6-month break from work because I want to find the right fit, then so be it. If that means I'm getting side hustles just to pay my bills, so be it. But it was a powerful eye opener to say, I don't want to just take a job just because it's available. I want to make sure that it's aligned in what I value.
So Ben Fanning, who's here, helps a lot of people choose to, maybe extend their careers and stay where they're supposed to stay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he'd agree you should leave a company that doesn't treat your health and safety to work the same way. But I'm sure he's quite interested in hearing that perspective just because, it's a gamble every time you walk out of a job. And like you said, you might get stuck for 3+ years.
Yeah. And
see, I knew Ben had an opinion. He says, too bad the company didn't help their employees feel safe at work. Obviously said he was a rising star for them. No question, and anywhere that Sydney's going to work right now, she's bringing not just her experience, which is growing all the time, but also her perspective, which is clearly different than the average creature. I'm talking to you like you're not in the room, but I was gonna. My segue is really dumb and doesn't make any good sense, but I'm just gonna throw it. So you said that when you're not at work, you're super into food. What has quarantine food been like for you? And what are you most thinking you can't wait to get back to when you feel safe enough to go there?
Yeah. The quarantine 15 is real. It was one of those, I remember my mom called me kind of at the beginning of all this in a slight panic of like, do you have enough food for 2 weeks? Right. And I was like, oh, mom, it's fine. Like everything's fine. And I went to Walmart that day thinking the apocalypse was happening. And so I got every type of food that I normally would not get, right? Like chicken nuggets and tons of boxes of mac and cheese and ramen, all of the crap food, right? And then found myself in quarantine saying, where are my vegetables? Like, where's the food I actually would love to eat? I'm sitting here eating, chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. So quarantine 15 really was real. And so, I think for me now that, it's a little bit more normal to go out to grocery stores and get the food on a daily basis, it's been great to have fresh food. One of the things that I really miss is just like having the ability to have diversity in my food. It's so hard for me to cook for one, especially because I hate leftovers. I grew up in a household where leftovers were always what we ate. And so if I make something and there's a ton, I'm probably not going to eat it the next day. And so then it's a massive waste of food. So, I'm open to suggestions on what that looks like, but I'm looking forward to being able to be like, you know what, we're going to spend $15 on a burger and not have to worry about it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have to warn you, there's this weird adult who wandered into the room. So, on the weird, if he starts to bug you, you let me know. I think there's probably a kick button around here somewhere. Yeah, I always joke about the quarantine food that I look at the things I make and I swear it's like for stoners.
Yeah.
Like every meal is like, I made grilled cheese with grape jelly on it the other day.
Oh.
I wouldn't eat that any day, any year. They're wet in my belly.
Yeah.
What is, with regards to that though, with regards to kind of getting back to normal, I've been thinking about this more and more all the time. And I've been thinking about, so for I have clinical depression, and for free, when you have that, sometimes you get panic attacks. So I get anxiety built in. And every grocery trip I've done out of the last, what is it now, like 9 weeks or something? Yeah. I have had a free panic attack every single time. And this last grocery trip I did yesterday, maybe because I bought mostly treats and delicious things with a birthday gift I got, I definitely did not have the panic attack. And I thought, maybe we're getting somewhere now. Yeah. What do you think it's going to feel like for you as far as getting back to normal?
I think it's important because you see a lot of people who are cleaning, right? I'm looking at the brain drain. I think that's going to be, something that companies are going to do, period. And I think hopefully this brings an awareness to just like your own taking care of your own germs and washing your hands, and cleaning things as you go and just being more cautious of as you're meeting people, shaking hands. I hope that this helps kind of culturally bring awareness to what's going on. But as far as back to normal, I have no idea. I think, I love that work from home is becoming really, normalized and that companies are starting to adopt that. I think it's driving this more forward to where companies have to offer this as an option. Right. Otherwise, they're not going to be picked by employers or by employees, because that ability to say, I can do my job fully from home with the technology that we have, we saw almost every company do it for the past 8 weeks, So I hope that that's more ingrained in being normal. But yeah, I have no idea. I'm really interested. I have to take every chance when I walk out that door to just be really cautious and, do everything to my best ability to be safe and wash my hands and make the best choices.
So I want to pivot that same question though, because you're also running marketing for a small startup. Tell me just a little tiny bit about the startup. I don't really care, but tell me about it. And then tell me about how are you going to help them market in this world? Because one thing that I'm trying really hard to sell to companies who aren't really interested in buying is you really can't market the way you did last month. So now what? What are you doing for your people in that regards?
Yeah, so my company is called Officium Labs. They're awesome. It's a small kind of
labs?
Officium Labs.
Officium, like partly official, or like I'm going fishing?
I think it's Latin. So it's Officium Labs. And so basically they're in the CX, customer experience space. So everyone that works there comes from a customer service, customer experience background. And basically the company's not even a year old. And so we are very kind of on that startup beginning level. And that's one of the reasons I was brought in, is to really fill that marketing role, for brand exposure, all things digital marketing, to really kind of figure out what that strategy is going to be like, defining who our audience is, and then putting all of those software and technologies and strategies in place. And so it's been a really awesome experience, because this company is focused on people. It's focused on treating people with empathy and creating an experience that, brings lifetime value for companies, and really saying customer service is an ROI. You have to invest in it in today's world. And so, with all of kind of the things that we were just talking about, it really aligns in that. And the people are extremely kind, and really up to date with what's going on in the world, and knowing that we're running a business totally decentralized and being remote workers. So it's been a really great fit. Yes, Carrie with the link, I appreciate it. So, over the coming, months, hopefully there'll be a lot more marketing that's going on. But right now we're really kind of at the starting line. So I'm super excited. The possibilities are endless, right?
You already sound like a person who runs marketing for a company. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that trying to think of the least curmudgeonly way to say it. I think that everything you just said sounds exactly like a 25-year-old marketer. I'm not dinging you because I know you and I know you're smart.
Yeah.
But okay. When I was younger, I used to make fun of high school people when I was in high school who loved poetry.
Yeah.
And a girl would come up and say, "I love poetry," and I'd go, "Oh, like Equus, ode to a 13-year-old girl." And she'd go, "What poem's that?" I'd go, "I love horse are neat." And that was me being a jerk, right? So you sound the shiny way that people are before they hate their lives and drink a lot more, and really start looking for sharp surfaces to rub their wrist against. How do you keep that? How do you maintain that? And how do you weaponize that to become like, Sydney receiving a bag of awards at the end of this all?
Yeah, for sure. I had an experience where I was in the corporate world and I hated every day of my life. I love marketing and I love everything about it. But I hated my life. I'll spit it to you real. I was like applying to get out of that position for almost 2 years.
Wow.
And I had all of these interviews that were like, I was like the second person being picked, right? And I remember thinking, why the hell am I still at this company? Like, I hate it. I remember I was just like bitter and angry and like didn't want anything to do with it because it was sucking every part of joy out of me. And it was really eye-opening to then be able to be free from that company and free from that experience, to then be put into a place that's totally different, right? And I think absolutely, are there going to be tough days? Is the work going to be hard? Absolutely. But I am one of those people where I'm not going to forget where I came from and the prayers that were answered by God, because I was praying every day, Lord, please get me out of this job, and I am very much the person where every job I've had, there's been things that I've not enjoyed. There's been bosses that have been really hard to work with. And so, I don't want to ever devalue how important it is to have a job where even for today, it matters. And even for today, I have joy. And for me, I have to realize that not everything is so personal, and really say, just because a boss maybe doesn't like me has nothing to do with me. That's your own, right? And so really having to say, I know that there's purpose in my life. I know there's purpose in where I'm going. And for right now, there's joy, and I'm going to cling to that. And I'm also going to speak truth around me and keep people around me that are constantly encouraging me that, what can I learn from where I am right now? What can I bring into my pocket? And I know that kindness is a huge thing. So if I can be kind to people every day, and surround myself with people who value kindness, then when the busy work and the hard work comes, I'll be able to push forward, because I know what it's like to work at a company where kindness is not there and where you hate the job as well. So, I think absolutely I do sound kind of shiny and extremely hopeful, but I'll keep it too real. The job is hard, because even though it's a startup, there's still some things that are extremely hard. But I value what the company stands for. I value the people that I'm working with, and already seeing how they're meeting a lot of my needs compared to the company I was at previously. And so I'll cling to that.
That sentence itself is pretty interesting, that you evaluate the company and how it meets your needs. That I don't know if anyone caught that the way I caught that, but I really I sounded like Trump right there. Nobody catches things the way I do. Everybody else. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that feeling though, that sense of, I'm here because you're here to, make a career and a life for me. By the way, go to any slightly larger company, 300 or so people and up, and you are going to find that's not how they look at it. They're there to like manage your benefits, help you get your health care, signed up and all that crap, and process a whole bunch of mechanics. But HR departments are not talent development anymore, and nobody is. And it's like up to you and incumbent upon you to develop your talent, which makes a great segue, Sydney Nelson, into what are you doing to keep growing your talent and your skill and kind of put your stamp on this world?
Yeah. I like to say the phrase, I don't like to be the smartest one in the room. But if I was honest, that's really terrifying for me. As my dad can attest, when I first walked into social media marketing world the first year, I was so overwhelmed by how little I actually knew, because I was in an environment where I was the one who knew all things social media, right? And it wasn't until I actually walked into a room where people were challenging me, saying, what are you doing for your own brand? What are you doing to learn? And caused me to be like, oh crap, y'all are on a whole nother level. And it ignited my passion even more to say, I don't want to strive to be the smartest one in the room. I want to be surrounded by people that are going to teach me and challenge me. And as terrifying as that can be sometimes, it's worth it, right? And so really being surrounded and networked by people who can really lift that up in me. And I'm getting into podcasts. I'm the worst when it comes to a lot of that stuff, but podcasts, trying my best to read, but really it's engaging in those conversations and then keeping an eye on the people that I admire and what they're doing. Every day's a learning process, and I'm trying my best to just kind of take everything in on a sponge. So,
the other thing that you could add to that pile, and you probably are doing this, you just didn't think it counted, is connecting and networking all the time, and just making sure you're just keeping all those relationships going, because Absolutely. I feel like that's a part of being Sydney Nelson. I think that is the thing. So
yeah, for sure.
So part of your fan club decided you should have a podcast. Evidently you've got to get your voice out there. What's your first thought about that when you get told you've got to launch one? What would you talk about?
Oh gosh, I have no idea what I would talk about. It would probably be like Sydney rants on random topics. But, I think,
Sydney rants, I like it.
Yeah, I think, I've been really blown away and humbled by how many people have really kind of poured into my life and have walked life with me to really encourage me to keep speaking up and keep saying that there's power in my voice. Sometimes I went through, if I'm being totally honest, this like rebellious stage kind of when I was a little bit younger, thinking that no one was paying attention, thinking that, I could do whatever I wanted and no one would follow, and was really shocked by the devastation that came, because as I was paving a road down a really hard path, people were following. And so, you're not able to turn that leader on and off, right? You can't say, right, everyone follow me now and everyone, halt while I go do this.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah. And so I think, even when it comes to Black Lives Matter, and really seeing that, as I'm posting and as I'm talking and then sharing the hard news, having people reach out to me saying, because you posted that, I'm realizing, and I think that goes for everybody, is that you have a voice for someone. Everyone is going to have a following, whether that's 10,000 right. people or one person. And so, to have a podcast, what would that look like? I really want to be purposeful to where it's just not me talking, but really helping, bring a voice to those that either don't have one or having those hard conversations. Probably something around justice, because that is what I live and breathe. So, but yeah.
How long has justice been your bag? And, I ask that because, someone you may well know said that I wish my 25 looked like this. And all I'm thinking is, my 48 didn't look like that, Like I was respectful of justice. I said nice things to nice people, and I've done all the things you're supposed to do to be a reasonably good person. Yeah. But I didn't go out and swing my fist at anything. I didn't go to my first Pride March until last year, So and I have a gay kid. You know what I mean? Like, I should probably be at the Pride March.
Yeah.
How long have you been a justice person, and what does that look like?
Yeah. You know, for me, justice is, I'm realizing, a huge like motivator. And so, you know, I don't even remember when the first time I really value justice, but I am a very just person. And so that is really tied to how I respect people. And again, I'm learning, right? I'm 25, I'm still gathering all of that together, but it is really hard for me to respect or follow or do as I'm told if it's not just. And so, you know, I've always been extremely vocal, in fact, probably too vocal sometimes. And so that's where I'm learning to really, when should I keep my mouth shut and when should I speak? Because I've always been the kid that says, you tell me to do something, I'm going to tell you no, or I'm going to ask you why. And so you can ask my mom, you know, that raising a strong-willed kid that says, I'm going to do it my way, and because this feels just, you know, luckily I had them really kind of gear me towards not just my way is the just way, but really saying, where is the just way, and aligning myself in that.
Right.
And that means speaking up for those that don't have a voice. That means Black Lives Matter. That means being kind and calling people out on the hard stuff, you know, and being that person, you know, and at my last company, I was the only one speaking up for the people that were constantly crying because our boss was making us cry, and telling people, you cannot do that, to the point where I was the one getting in trouble, but everyone in the background was saying, thank you for saying that, because I don't have the ability.
Right.
I want that to be the factor of my life in every area. And that includes Black Lives Matter 100%. So, you know, justice for me is caring about people and caring that the right thing is done and speaking up when no one else will. And so really saying, all right, God, convict me when I need to speak, and let's do it regardless of what the consequences are, you know? So that's what I want my life to amplify.
Don't worry about, you know, how many numbers you get in your voice column. You know, Jesus had only 12 followers. He did all right.
Yeah.
And some of them unfollowed him. Pretty sure near the end there, Judas was like, and they took him off his feed.
Yeah.
You can follow Sydney anywhere you want. You just have to add an extra Y and an extra N. So it's Sydney Nelson, putting an announcer into a ring. So I am so glad you've been here. I'm so glad you dove in and said yes to me. Really a testament to everything I know about you and who you are. Hey, want to do this live video thing? Yeah, okay. You know, like there's never a question like, I'll do that. Of course I can do that.
Yeah.
I feel like if someone just called you up and said, hey, can you be the CEO of a company? You'd be like, sure. What's the worst that could happen?
I mean, I'll take a crack at it.
Why not? That is definitely a generational thing as well. Most of us didn't feel particularly empowered to do that sort of a thing. Whereas people of your age and your generation come in saying, why aren't I not a C-level? Like, why? Then there's a seat at this table. I just got here. Yes. So I say it mockingly, but knowing that it's going to affect so much more change so much faster. Mm-hmm. I did have one thing. This is so frivolous. Yeah. But it actually the question came from a guy in my building here. He asked me how I am, and I said, how's anyone? He goes, you're right. That's a stupid question. I said, well, I wasn't going to say it to you, but yeah. He said, all right, what are you binging? What are you watching? What's the show? What's something you caught up on or got into that you hadn't given time to before?
Like TV show wise?
Anything. TV show, books. You might be reading the great classics. I don't.
Yeah. Right now, I just finished Hunters on Amazon Prime.
Was it worth it?
Awesome. Yes. Okay. I'm a huge World War II buff. So I love all things kind of around that. And it was actually really timely. It was weird. I came back from protest and then was watching Hunters, and then there was like a protest going on. I was like, this is so strange. How relevant this is in today's world. So Hunters is a huge one if you're looking for a new show to binge. It's awesome. I'm reading Brene Brown. Listening to her podcast. Brene Brown is one of my people that I love so dearly, speaking about vulnerability. So she's a great one to listen to. Cool. And then I'm listening to a podcast my mom recommended called Seeing White. So. Seeing White. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Sydney Nelson, I'm kicking everybody out of this room, and that includes you. Thank you so much for jumping in and being part of this. This was awesome. I have to tell you, I tried about 71 times to get a not bad screen capture of both of us. And so for huge swaths of time, I'm sitting here with the dumb, like, closed face. because I'm trying to catch you. You are the most expressive person.
Yeah.
So I have like 85 not perfect pictures because of your energy and your excitement. You know, I'm grateful for that energy and excitement. And it doesn't screen cap well, but damn, does it speak well.
Do you want me to smile now for screen?
Nope, don't do it. I already put the best one you're going to get out of me. So
All right.
you know what you look like. All right. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.